Episode 9 of 86 was absolutely fantastic. I don't even know where to begin. Everything about this episode was just so good. Now, I have my little bit misgiving of a little bit of a tinge of melodrama in a certain scene between Lena and Annette, but other than that, everything else was so spectacular. I'm starting to believe that directors and writers are listening to what I'm saying, because it's like all these little things this week with certain shows are getting kind of resolved when I was getting a little frustrated with them. With this particular series, a little bit of a frustration with Lena and her kind of whining to everybody and not doing anything. And sure enough, in this episode, she takes action and she does it so spectacularly. But yeah, essentially the episode opens up. The 86 team that we're following, they go into, or the Spearhead group goes into, further into this area to go see the brother. Shin decides that he's going to take on his brother alone and says for the rest of them to go and hide. And they're like, no, we ain't having that. Not following that order. We're following you. So they decide to distract all of the other Legion as Shin goes after his brother. And it seems to be the case the opposite as well, is where it seems like his brother is almost redirecting all the Legion away from Shin because he wants to take him on himself. And he even destroys one of the Legion in an attempt to keep Shin for himself as they go and battle each other. It gets a little bit Terminator 2-ish with like liquid metal and stuff with his hands coming out of the Legion, but we're dealing with some crazy advanced technology that apparently the Legion are getting into. But yeah, the two of them are fighting it out. It looks like Shin is not doing well. He's about to get taken down. And then again, Lena finally comes in there. They start seeing a bunch of targets coming into view, and it ends up being this big barrage of artillery fire that apparently Lena's taking control of. And she also taps into their eyes, specifically the left eye, taps in order to confirm the hit of the artillery fire. And this, of course, was something that we've alluded to a long time ago, talking about how they've restricted it to only hearing because of the damage that tapping into anything more would actually cause. She keeps it to strictly the left eye, and this was done because she brought Annette into the picture. So we get a quick flashback of Annette and Lena talking. Annette's like, I told you not to come here. And she's like, yeah, I heard, but I told you I wasn't going to come back. Or I didn't tell you that I wasn't going to come back. And at this point, it seems like Lena she's done. Like, she is done with whining about things. She's done with hearing people's excuses. She's like, you're going to help me with this. The guy that lived next door to you, who was his name Shin, he's out there right now. You've abandoned him twice. Do you want to abandon him a third time? And she's just like, she calls her a demon. She's like, we're both the demons. But yeah, she basically forces Annette's hand because, here's a Shin guy that you abandoned twice. You're going to do it a third time, which I think was a really cool way. And I kind of kicked myself because I totally forgot to talk about that when they brought up the aspect of this family next door being able to hear the voices, that it essentially was insinuating that it was Shin and his family. But that pretty much makes the connection there. It was Shin that was next door to Annette. His family was the ones that were experiment on, and now here we are with Annette essentially coming in to support Lena and allow her to use this technology even further. And it is pretty cool because you kind of see, after everything all the dust settles, you see all this stuff in that room, all this stuff that Lena had put together in order to help them survive the situation. But she, of course, gets the artillery fire to come in. It implies that she knew that the brother would protect Shin. She said, okay, he's down on the ground, give me the distance and I'm going to fire. She fires artillery. The artillery comes down towards Shin and his brother defends him. And that's when Shin is able to take him down. It gets a little anime-ish here with the crazy jump up and cannon fire and hands reaching out and everything, but it was really well put together. And I especially like how in the final blow you get this perspective of the brother's vision, the visions of the brother kind of clearing up, and then them realizing how much they meant to each other and how this has all kind of been the fault of some really bad circumstances that they've had to fight each other in the end. So you even get a little brief glimpse of the mind of the brother kind of acknowledging what he's going through, the kind of mixture of his mind that's happening and how he's trying to get clarification in this final moment of, Shin allowing him to rest, which was cool. So yeah, and then like the music's kicking up and all this stuff is clearing up and then the emotions hitting and you see what Lena is doing inside of the command room and all the stuff she put together, bringing Annette into the picture, or technically forcing Annette's hand. Just so much stuff happening in these scenes that it's just absolutely incredible. They managed to put all this together so fantastically. So good. So good. I also really liked Lena's demeanor when she first kind of taps in. She's like, bringing in artillery fire. They're all like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And tapping into his eye. And he was like, you're going to go blind. He's like, I'm not going to go blind immediately. I'm not going to die from using their artillery fire. Just, basically hold your line and do what you need to do. And it was just kind of like how forceful she was with the whole situation. Very stern, very mature, and pushing that she's going to do everything she can in order to protect them. And like I said, that's evident with how much crap she's got around her and how much studying and how much material she's looking at and the artillery fire that she overtook and bringing Annette into the picture and all that kind of stuff. So good, so good. Which leads to like a really, really, really powerful scene after the dust settles. Of course, Shin's breaking down. They tell her to break the comms because he doesn't want anybody to hear him crying. But when they bring the comms back up, I love this scene so much because it gives a perspective like Lena overcame something. She took over this artillery. She brought Annette into the picture. She did all this stuff. She sacrificed possibly her sight. She put together all this strategy and executed it so beautifully. Everybody survived. They're down on ammunition like crazy, but they survived the battle and they took down their brother. And it almost has like this feeling of overcoming something. Like it's done. She did it. She pulled it off. Everybody's safe. And then they just like so casually just continue on. Like, okay, let's go. We're going. And they just keep marching. And it's so funny because they captured this feeling of Lena like, wait, what are you doing? It's like, Lena, it's not over. Their mission is to keep marching forward. You have not solved really anything but made them survive another day. They are still going to march forward. They still have to keep going. This is what they were ordered to do. They can't turn around. It's not like suddenly they run home and jump into your arms. That's not how this works. This continues. And I love how so beautifully they captured this because she's freaking out. They're going into the basically out of range of her, the unknown. And she's panicking. She's running after them, physically running to keep into to actual range as they're just slowly marching off into the unknown. And then finally it cuts off and she can no longer hear them. Obviously, Shin before then saying, we're going to go on ahead, which was just like that. So good. So well done. Oh, man. I loved it so much. This episode was absolutely stellar. I think the only thing that really kind of troubles me at this point is that we are technically getting pretty close to the end of this core. We have 2 more episodes. It looks like probably next episode will probably be Lena probably dealing with the aftermath of the battle and the question of where 86 has gone. They just left, or where Spearhead has gone. They just have technically left the 86. They're technically gained freedom at this point. They're no longer in the battlefield of 86, but they're obviously leaving off into the distance. Will Command see that as them abandoning their post, or is it technically still in the lines of their orders? Their orders was to keep marching forward until they were dead. But they're probably going to be seen as abandoning their post, and what kind of repercussions is going to come from that? The kind of hypocrisy of them being charged with abandoning their post, even though technically that's what they were supposed to do. And they were supposed to be dead anyways. Obviously, Lena probably trying to figure out some way to get to them. How can she still communicate with them? That's all going to be in question. Maybe Annette can figure a way of broadening her communication. Or is Lena going to jump inside of a communication buggy and drive out there herself is going to be the big question at this point. But I think we're going to see a lot of that repercussions of what she just did. Obviously, she took artillery fire. Possibly them finding out that she was able to tap into their eyes and that she's technically not supposed to do that. And I think we'll probably get episode 11 maybe covering what the team is doing out there and what they're seeing. We get a little brief description of what they're seeing, the trees and leaves and stuff. But I think that'll probably be the closure of the season. Like I said, this is the unfortunate thing is that we're getting really close to what seems like the end of the core, and it's obviously episode 11 will be the end of it, and then we'll have to wait, I don't know how long until we're going to get the second core that was technically already announced for it. And I'm already dreading the wait. I'm already dreading that we're going to have a wait period. It's so good. I gotta stop. I gotta stop talking about it. I loved it. It was fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as well, and you enjoyed my impressions of it. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can, and I hope you all enjoyed, and you all take care.